Hey all, welcome back to SLB, Basement Bourbon Bar. My name is Kurt. As you can see on the bar top tonight, we're going to have a discussion about Texas whiskey. Now, I have to be honest, I have put this subject off for quite some time. I've had a lot of comments. Do you have it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And to be truthful, I've beat around the bush quite a bit because, in all honesty, Texas whiskey just is not my favorite. I would never probably put it into one of my regrets videos, but it would really never hit any of my top 5 videos either. And so Trenton put it to me, he says, hey, we got to get it done. And he's the boss, and so when he says we got to get it done, we just got to get it done. So about 2 weeks ago, I really dove into Texas whiskey. And what you see on my bar top is all the bottles I have. That's it. This is what I have down here at the bar. And so I really took a deep dive into the whole process, into the history and just the whole 9 yards of Texas whiskey, and spent some time with each and every one of these bottles. Hey, and I want to share it with you. And please do me a favor. I absolutely do not want to dislike Texas whiskey. I really don't. So let's get through this together. I'd love to hear your comments of what you feel I might be wrong about, you might agree about, or more information that you can give me so I can learn more about the subject that we have tonight, and that would be fantastic. First of all, we need to talk real quick about the maturation process in Texas. Texas has some severe heat, and then in the wintertime, it has a lot of temperatures, big temperature swings, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. So most of these bottles up here are only matured for maybe 3 years, because in Texas it has an intense maturation process which speeds it up and gets it done quickly. So that's part of the deal. So let's move on. We got a lot to cover here. The very first bottle that I want to discuss with you tonight is Garrison Brothers Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Garrison Brothers Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey is going to cost you about $85 as advertised on their website. This particular bottle comes in at 119.8 proof. Based in High, Texas, Garrison Brothers is all about repping the Lone Star State. They utilize Texas-grown #1 Panhandle white corn for their bourbon while incorporating soft red winter wheat and barley into the mash. Each bottle is meticulously labeled to show as much detail as possible. A couple little things real quick about this particular bottle. Now, this is a store pick, so it is the small batch, but however, since it was a store pick, where I got it from, they obviously wanted it in a much higher proof, and that's why it's 119.8 proof. According to their website, Garrison Brothers, their small batch and single barrel usually comes in about 94 proof. So just so you know that right off the bat. So let's get a little taste here. Let's see what we got, and let's discuss it. Comes in a little hot, but we know it's 119.8 proof, so let's get past that. Right off the bat, initially, right on my palate, I get some real nice brown sugar and molasses notes. But then right after that, I get a real heavy barrel char note to this particular bourbon. And to me, it just kind of takes things out of balance a little bit. Now, if you enjoy that heavy char, that heavy barrel char, then this might be for you. Now, in my thinking, I'm assuming, because it's been aged in an American charred new oak barrel. We know that. But you know, when I think about it, Wild Turkey 101 is aged roughly about, what, 8 years? And it's aged in a charred new American oak barrel. And in the Wild Turkey 101, I get some pretty decent barrel notes in there, like actually really nice barrel notes in there. And this, to me, is just heavy. I get some of the, it's just the char is really heavy, and I'm gonna have to assume, and this is where, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm gonna have to assume it picks up these notes because of the intense maturation process. It's the only thing I can think of. But I do like it up front. Really nice, rich molasses, brown sugar, but to me, that barrel char, barrel notes come in like a freight train and kind of takes over the whiskey. Very next one I have for you, I've got the Garrison Brothers Honeydew. Garrison Brothers Honeydew will cost you about 90 bucks as advertised on their website and comes in at 80 proof. Garrison Brothers master distiller transformed used bourbon barrels into small wooden cubes that were immersed in honey. After fully absorbing the honey, they were placed in the belly of a stainless steel tank, letting the bourbon soak up those delicious honey flavors for 7 months. All right, at first look into this particular bottle, and I bought this because, in honesty, I've heard so much about what Trenton Bell Mead honey cask, right? We've heard about that forever. We never could find one, never could get one, but oh my God, it's supposed to be so good. So I thought, it might translate, in this Garrison's bottle here. So let's see what we have in the glass. Let's see what it comes up to. Honestly, up front, again, I got some really nice notes. It might not be for everybody. It's a little on the sweet side. It's got some fruity characteristics, maybe some peach or some kind of apricot or something. You definitely get a little bit of that honey, but then for me, those barrel char notes that you got in this particular bottle, which is basically what's in here, just comes up front and center, and to me, it just kind of lessens the experience a little bit for me. I do want a good bourbon, distinctive flavor in there, but just not the one that's just so much overridden by barrel char, if that sounds right at all. So that's that one. Moving forward, Balcones Texas Rye. Balcones Texas Rye will cost you about 40 bucks and comes in at 100 proof. Released in March of 2018, this rye whiskey is made from 100% rye, including raw Elban grain from northwest Texas, as well as crystal, chocolate, and roasted rye varieties. It is aged for just under 2 years in a new American oak barrel. Let's see what we have in the glass. This is 100% rye. But it is, again, aged in that new American oak barrel. So let's see what we have. Well, that nose is nice, Trent. Pretty good. This actually has some really nice rye flavors right up front and a deep chocolate note in there. It's actually pretty darn good. You get some of the barrel char. You really do. But here's my opinion. On this one, on this particular whiskey, on this rye whiskey here, the barrel char isn't nearly as much as what I find over here. And I think it's because it's only been aged, remember, for 2 years. So you get that rye spice, some nice deep chocolate, a little bit of barrel notes. Not bad. Pretty decent. 40 bucks. Moving on down the line, the next one I got for you. Iron Root Harbinger. Iron Root is a family-owned distillery that pairs Texas flavors with French distilling techniques. They apply French traditions to Texas corn to make a whiskey that's distinctly their own. Iron Root is a non-chill filtered, aged for 32 months, and uses purple corn, bloody butcher corn, flat corn, non-GMO, yellow dent corn, and rye as the mash bill for this offering. As described, it seems like there might be a lot going on in this particular bottle, so let's check it out. I can kind of almost, I can sense just a little bit of that French distilling technique. I might get a little, it might just be my brain too, but I think I get a little bit of like a brandyish type of a cognac experience with that sip. However, it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't have a whole lot going on. I get a little bit of baking spices. Maybe just a touch of red fruit, maybe, but there's just a lot of barrel notes that I don't like in this one. I just don't like it in this one. I have to say, this bottle, Trent, this probably is my least favorite of the group. I apologize, but to me, it's just the barrel char and the barrel notes just kind of override the whole thing. So that's my opinion. Let's move on to the last one. I have to say, this last one is my favorite of the group. Balcones Single Malt. Balcones Single Malt is a Texas version of Scotch single malt made with unpeated 100% malted barley. What distinguishes it from the others is the aging process. They combine small batches of whiskey that have been aged in different sized barrels before blending them together to finish maturation in one big barrel. This whiskey is distilled in copper pot stills and is non-chill filtered. Okay, let's get a quick taste of this right now, and then we'll discuss it. I think that's probably the best I want to do. How I want to go about this last one. I like that one, Trent. I laugh because Trent, if it says single malt, no, I don't care if it's Irish, Texas, Scotch, they don't matter. If it's single malt, it's not his thing, and that's all good. But for me, it's got a real nice malty note to it. And it has some really nice dried fruit and a little hint of caramel there. It's got some really beautiful flavors. But I think the difference between this particular Texas whiskey compared to what we've seen on the bar top otherwise, is this is aged in used, what was it, Trent? American, French, and Hungarian barrels. So it necessarily wasn't aged in heavily charred New American oak casks. And for me personally, in my palate, I really feel that's why I like this one the most. And I dig single malt anyways. I really like single malt. So to me, that's my favorite of the group. Hey, that's all I got for you tonight. Please keep in mind, just because I don't like something per se, it's not really on the top of my list. Doesn't mean by any way, shape, or form that it can't be on the top of yours. If these whiskeys out here suit your palate and you love them, well, God bless you, you keep loving them. So what I could ask from you, once again, if you can help me out, leave a comment below. Help me with this Texas whiskey thing. I'd certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Love each and every one of you. As always, we're going to ask you to please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time right down here with me in a good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.